Well, James Bond's Masculinity has apparently hit its expiration date. Can you believe it? Get this. The American Psychological Association is now out with new guidelines declaring that, quote, traditional masculinity is harmful. Ryan McDermott, and psychologist at the University of South Alabama, who helped draft these guidelines, asks unironically, what is gender in the 2010s?
Look at that soy boy.
It's no longer just this male-female binary. If we can change men, we can change the world. What exactly are we trying to change them to? Well, do modern women really dislike traditional masculinity? Here to help us answer all this is Emily Jasinski, senior culture editor at The Federalist, and radio talk show host Jamila Bey. All right, Emily, let's start with you. What do you think this kind of attack on what is known as traditional masculinity is all about?
Yeah, so the APA specifically names, in their definition of traditional masculinity, competitiveness, stoicism, all qualities that I think a lot of young women like myself and women of all ages really probably find attractive, probably find compelling. And I think it's sad that the APA lent its authority as an institution, lent its credibility as an institution to these guidelines, which are steeped in the language, really, of fourth-wave feminism. There's lots of hints at intersectionality. There's talk of privilege. There's talk of all of these different buzzwords. And there's actually a short on substance.
Modern world. Europeans. Built the modern world.
European?
We invented science and industry. We invented science and industry, and you want to tell us to stop because, oh my God, we're so bad. We built the modern world. We built the modern world. Europeans. Built the modern world. We invented science and industry. We invented science and industry, and you want to tell us to stop because, oh my God, we're so bad. We invented the modern world.
I feel you. You're so dumb.
We invented the modern world.
You fucking degenerate.
We saved billions of people from starvation.
Are you joking me?
We built modern civilization. White people are the best thing that ever happened to the world. We are so amazing, and I love myself, and I love white people.
Say that one more time.
Fuck yeah, white people.
Say it right here.
Fuck yeah, white men. We're white men. We did everything. Look, I don't hate other people. I just love white men. I just love white men. Oh, God.
His first televised Oval Office address tonight.
Do you think it should be, I don't know, a delay of some sort?
Why in the world would the networks run Donald Trump's address tonight when we know that Donald Trump is going to be using it to spread these lies?
Because people believe it. The president will say what he has to say. People will believe it, whether the facts are true or not.
Why should they run Donald Trump's address tonight when they know he's going to be spreading lies and falsehood?
The answer to your question, Joe, is they shouldn't. One of the most time-honored and powerful ways a president has to communicate with the American people is through a primetime Oval Office address. The majesty of the setting, the request for valuable television time.
The president says he wants airtime. He just gets it, right? Well, the answer is no.
President Trump, you will not get your wall.
A wall is an immorality, not who we are as a nation.
Have you considered using emergency powers to grant yourself authorities to build this wall without congressional approval? Yes, I have, and I can do it if I want.
And so he doesn't need the Congress to appropriate the funds for the wall. He can just do it.
So you don't need congressional approval to build the wall?
No, we can use them, absolutely. We can call a national emergency because of the security of our country, absolutely.
It's now up to you to decide which side you're on. That's where we are. And Trump is moving in the right direction, and the only direction he has, to use his constitutional executive power against traitors in the government to declare a national emergency and take matters into his own hands. Our destinies are now bound forever. We ask you to now take action and declare the national emergency and clear the scourge of the foreign globalist infestation threatening America and the world.
Waging war on corruption. It's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the InfoWar.
No Trump, no wall, no USA at all. 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 No Trump, no wall, no USA at all.
All right, listen, I've already had a bunch of guests on that have been extremely powerful, and Owen Benjamin's always great. One of the top comedians in the country and one of the most censored people in the country. And I like seeing him pop in on our shows. He always has great commentaries with us for us the hour. I do intend to take a few calls in the next few segments as well. There's a bunch of clips I haven't gotten to of just the most bizarre stuff. And I like the fact that Owen Benjamin talks about rhetoric because he's researched that, because I want to get his take on every channel's, we already played these clips last hour, saying it's crazy. There's no human trafficking. Trump says it's insane. And there's no caravan. It's totally made up. He's insane. Meanwhile, Europe's been flooded. We're being flooded. Mass death, huge amounts of sex trading, Senate reports, all this stuff. 80% of the women are raped. Trump says 1/3 are, and they go, fact check, it's 80%. You liar, it's way worse. Oh, wait, CBS, take it down. Oh, God, it's our own liberal Amnesty International. This is not even a tactic now. This is like an obstinate 5-year-old that you catch, pissing in their bed, and you say, hey, don't piss in your bed again, or you can't go over to your buddy's house. And they're like, I didn't piss in the bed. I'm like, what's this piss? I mean, at a certain point, Owen Benjamin, what is this tactic, or is it just now mental illness?
It's wizardry. I call it wizardry because it's a lot easier for people to understand what that means as opposed to the word rhetoric. Because, my dad taught rhetoric, like mass persuasion, and my mom taught children's literature, which is basically how to boil down a narrative to the simplest elements. So that was my upbringing. And it's so interesting watching all these tactics in real time right now, just changing the course of a nation. And what they're doing, it's repetition. It's just saying the same thing over and over and over again. It allows people that don't want to face the reality of fentanyl and the reality of the rapes happening as people flood the border, and the reality that a nation can't exist without a border, and the reality that the very people that are going against Trump, they're on camera saying that we need a border wall, 10 years ago. And so what's happening is it allows...
Oh, I forgot that. We've got hundreds of clips of Hillary and Schumer and Pelosi and Obama and Bill Clinton saying we've got to have a wall, the crime, a lot of criminals. It's all true, but somehow they flipped and now say it's totally insane.
Well, yeah, that's the thing that Trump's doing, is he's actually doing what he said he would do, and that's seen as evil by a lot of these people. It's almost like the family whose dad left when they were kids, and the mom just keeps saying dad will come back, and that hope allows people to get to get through Christmas, even though dad's never coming back. That's almost how politics work in America now, where they say border security, we'll tighten up government spending, and then they never do. And that promise and then the lack of doing anything is okay on the American people right now because their attention span is that of goldfish. So the wizardry is going crazy. And then Trump just doing what he said he would do, like leaving Syria when they said...
No, I know, but then I tune in and they're all in lockstep saying the sky's not blue. It makes me feel not even angry anymore. It's like, who the hell are these people? These people are dangerous as hell. They do not need control of the nuclear weapons.
No, they're wizards. They have a narrative, and a narrative is very, very powerful. And just like what people do with children or what people do with mass propaganda and psychological operations, it's just a narrative, repetition, emotional triggers. And there's millions of people like me and you who watch your show, watch my live streams, and they feel just like us, it's just madness. but it's effective on a certain type of person.
No, I agree. A certain type that doesn't have a memory. You read the globalist documents or hear Gruber, they say the key is they have no memory. We were successful getting rid of attention spans. Ha, ha, ha. Because they have people, the average person does not remember any of this.
Yeah, that's why my mom, I used to think she was wacky for this policy, but she, for her wristwatch has to have hands on it because she said a digital watch erases memory. And she said she wants to know where the hand came from and where it's going. And I used to think that was weird. And now I totally understand where she's coming from, that it's the littlest things in your day and the digital.
No, exactly, because an old-fashioned watch is a map of a universe. And you know there was time before and after, but digital's only now.
Exactly.
Well, that's heavy. Did your mom come up with that? That's damn heavy.
Yeah, my mom's brilliant with this stuff. She's very, very, we never had new clothes and we grew our food, and she was doing all that stuff before it was cool because she saw it coming a mile away, and she quit working to raise my brother and I. And, all the feminists said that she was giving up, and she was like, no, feminism means I get to choose my life and I want to be a mother. And so she was way ahead of the curve. And that watch thing is so true, and you can apply it to so many things where digital is authoritarian when it says it is 12:15, it is 11:15. But if you see the hands, where they come from and where they're going, you can put your world into context. And the one thing,
and you also wind it and you check the time yourself, and it's you control time instead of it being this digital thing.
Exactly. Yeah, and you're responsible for keeping it going. There's so much metaphor in that. And slaves are not allowed to have context, and they're trying to turn us all into slaves.
That is heavy. I mean, that's like when Trump said the deepest thing I ever did was becoming shallow. They go, what an idiot. No, he means go with your first approximation. That's actually what's deep. Owen Benjamin's our guest. HugePianist.com. I'm Alex Jones, NewsWars.com. Spread that link. Thank you. So, the last few weeks now, the border wall's been the top story. I'm so sick of hearing Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and Bill Clinton and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer talk about how we need a border wall and say the exact same thing Trump said. Trump's just acting on it. That I haven't played it. But I think because of memory and what Owen Benjamin was just saying, the comedian analyst, HugePianist.com, that's pianist.com, that we should play a few minutes of it. And there's like hours of it. But let's play a few minutes of not just them 20 years ago or 10 years ago, but even 5 years ago or 3 years ago. But at some point, they decided to just flood everything. And again, it's the worst of the third world. They admit that. 80% of the women coming up, Amnesty International admits, get raped. I mean, that is the culture of the bad guys that run the smuggling. And then you see, MS-13's all God's children, Nancy Pelosi, and you see statements like, how dare he call Hispanics criminals? He was giving names of people that killed people. And illegal aliens twice as likely to kill somebody. And by the way, something like 80% of it's Hispanics they kill. Hispanics are being fed on by Hispanic criminal gangs that our government says is hands off, and 900-plus cities say are sanctuary cities where you can come there and kill whoever the hell you want. And I'll tell you why. I know the immigration lawyers. I know they're inside baseball. I was first told about this 10 years ago by a judge, and then I was told about it by a prosecutor, and then I learned about it from insiders. And we're going to go back to our guest and play this clip. But they make, let's say an illegal alien gets $15,000, $20,000 a year off of welfare, and they make them work somewhere where they're paid like $30,000 a year. The left, through these groups, skims half that money. So for every illegal alien that's an adult, they're getting $15,000, $30,000 a year. Oh, a kid, though. Ooh. So they're totally exploiting it. But since Owen Benjamin brought it up, here, this is a shorter segment, long segment coming up, but here's that clip, one of the clips he was talking about. But then now they're saying, insane, a wall, that's crazy. Here it is.
I voted numerous times when I was a senator to spend money to build a barrier to try to prevent illegal immigrants from coming in. And I do think you have to control your borders.
Real reform means stronger border security,
And we can build on the progress my administration has already made, putting more boots on the southern border than at any time in our history, and reducing illegal crossings to their lowest levels in 40 years. Real reform means establishing a responsible pathway to earned citizenship, a path that includes passing a background check, paying taxes and a meaningful penalty, learning English, and going to the back of the line behind the folks trying to come here legally.
Our border is far more...
Back it up, Jones. That's even more hardcore than Trump says. But now it's Hitlerian rhetoric. I can't listen to much more of this. We'll play some more in a moment. But, Owen, this is what you're talking about. I mean, these people, they've got some bravado.
Well, this is more wizardry that we're talking about. These people have established this narrative that they're protecting black people and women and Hispanics, and everyone else hates these demographics, when in fact they're making a class of people in America that couldn't be more vulnerable. I used to live in Los Angeles, and I would see these illegal maids and gardeners and all these people, and they have to do what you say, or else you get to send them back to their country. And so they're in a constant state of fear.
Oh, no, it freaks me out at how much they kiss my ass. In fact, I want to empower them. It's the opposite.
Yeah. No, totally. That's the thing is I'd rather have people come with paperwork and with a social security number and stuff like that.
And with their chin up, not being controlled by Democrats and turned into victims.
Exactly. So they'll establish a $15, $18 minimum wage in Seattle or something, and they'll feel so good.
But then they bring in these folks and undercut it.
Exactly. And then they pay $8. And then these people make it seem like Americans don't want any of these jobs, where not that long ago, when I was first blackballed from clubs for the trans kid thing, I was doing manual labor with my brother, who's an arborist. And I'm telling you right now, there's plenty of Americans that they're undercut by illegal.
Well, let's say it. The illegal aliens, because they're subsidized with welfare by design. Remember when the head of Walmart said, oh, we keep the wages so low that our employees get welfare. Well, yeah, so it bankrupts the system. Walmart uses a subsidy. That's the whole model with illegals or Appalachian whites or poor blacks in Alabama. It's the same corporate model of they get these low-paying jobs that undercut everybody, and then there's the welfare that then supplements it the taxpayers pay for. So the bottom line is, folks, none of us are getting this for free. We are screwing ourselves.
Yeah, and American citizens can't work these wages. Like if I said, listen, I'll work $8 an hour, you don't have to pay workman's comp, they'd say, no, you have a social security number, so you can't, so we're going to use this guy. And so that undercuts people who want to work. And so then what happens is someone who wants to work gets on government welfare, gets an opioid addiction, and before you know it, they're dead. I have one friend who's lost 16 friends to fentanyl.
Oh, my God, that's another thing. You don't just think 8 years ago Obama magically waved a wand. He did. I literally, half the people I know are addicted to opioids outside this office or have dead family. I mean, the doctors are just handing out. Did you hear the FDA just approved a new opioid 100 times stronger than heroin? Like, execute whoever invented that.
Yeah, and it's because of the spiritual and emotional rot that's happening in this country, that's coming from a lack of purpose, lack of family, lack of ability to buy your first home, because a 2-bedroom tiny house, my parents' house that they got for $12,000, now in a lot of these cities that are just overinflated by fake money and foreign money and all this stuff, you can't buy your first house. You can't, start that family, have that hard working job that allows you to get to the next rung and the next rung of life. Instead, that's all taken from people. And they've now just injected their souls with opioids. And
again, so these doctors, because I don't go to the doctors very often, and I'll be sitting there, they try to push this crap on me, and I'm like, what the hell? I mean, this is out of control, man.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's like, do you have pain? It's like, yeah, I'm really tall, my back hurts a lot. But it's like they're always trying to get you to get in that system, because once you're in, it's just like what you were talking about with the illegal aliens. It's like someone's skimming, someone's taking a percentage of every pill sold. And, a lot of these wars are, a big element of it is controlling opium and poppies.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my dad managed over 100 different medical facilities at one time, usually about 30 or 40. And I know the whole inside, but they would send the most gorgeous drug reps who, and he never did this, but it was well known, who would have sex with people that would just do a certain amount of scripts. It wasn't just trips to Cancun or trips to Tahiti. I mean, they'll send the hottest chicks you've ever seen to have sex with you in your office if you get as many prescriptions out as they want. Because they're drug dealers, of course. Like one time I was in this office, I saw this chick walk. I was like, this is the most beautiful woman I ever saw. And she's like laughing and goes to the door with this other doctor. That went to one of my dad's offices. I was just visiting the doctor. I'm like, Jesus. The hottest women in the country, folks, are drug reps. And they're just in there. It's just sick. Oh, my God. Owen Benjamin's our guest. I'm Alex Jones, newswars.com, infowars.com. Tomorrow's news today. What are we going to do as a society? I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I'm not going to pitch opium on people, but I mean, I don't know. This chick comes in, I might do it. So, literally during this last 3.5-minute break, I'm back there getting some more coffee, and we've got CNN and Fox News on. And I see a Humira drug ad we're about to play, talking about wizardry. This is a non-opioid painkiller. So I'm like, okay, great, let me watch it. And you talk about wizardry, because it shows the most wonderful images of having tea and kids playing and kites. And it's, meanwhile, this will cause heart attacks, death, everything else. And it's like, is this like unintentional comedy? Because under law, they've got to tell you what it can do to you, except vaccine ads. They say, get your flu shot at the Golden Globes or in an ad. They always say safe and effective, no side effects. The sheet says can kill you, can cause Guillain-Barré, neurological disorders. But see, a national emergency was declared, and Reagan got tricked to do this. Reagan wasn't a bad guy, but this was bad, to give it liability protection under national emergency. So that's a bad national emergency. But again, during the Golden Globes, they weren't taking real vaccines. And again, I know vaccines are real technology. The problem is they contain it, obviously, and they've been caught doing it. With these huge hypodermic needles engaged, there's William Dafoe, your TV viewer, with a fake vaccine. So this is how sick it's gotten with get your flu shot, even though it admits it doubles your chances of getting flu, lowers your immunity, all this crap. This is what entertainment's turned into. And it's the very same piece. Right after they did that, they have the one of the winners come on and say, I hate walls, they're immoral. Well, they have a wall around it and checkpoints and drug dogs and guys with machine guns, just like Nancy Pelosi and the rest of it. So I want to get Owen Benjamin's take on this about, I don't think the wizardry's working anymore. Maybe I'm wrong. It's working on some people, but where do you think it's going to end? And what do you think of drug ads? Because they juxtapose the most happy things. They go, heart failure, cancer, death. It's kids going, yay! What is that? Because there's nothing more mind control feeling, like I'm in Clockwork Orange in the theater with them dripping stuff in my eyes, than when I'm watching these drug ads.
Yeah, I think the wizardry that they're working on now is creating a world where people are capable of staying in a constant state of cognitive dissonance. Like what you were just talking about, when you have, because as a comedian, I'm seeing it everywhere now, because a lot of comedy is based on juxtaposition, where hot, cold, bright, dark, and you put it together and it makes people laugh. And so now I'm watching this stuff, and it's comedic in a very tragic and insane way to someone who can see through it. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people that can't see through it. And as a musician, you know, it's the same chords in Sitting on the Dock of the Bay as Creep by Radiohead, because those chords make you feel isolation and they make you feel like a weirdo sitting alone on a dock of a bay, right? So in music, you have the chord progression makes your emotions feel something, and then the words are the logos. And so with that contradiction, I know this sounds kind of crazy, but if you really think about it, it's true. With that contradiction, just like in the commercials, you know, you see the dog, you see the couple, you see the nice spread of breakfast, the sun coming up, and as you're watching that, it's telling you that it's poison. And so it creates. Oh, he's giving the dog water, but then he looks at the dog psychotically and may cause death. He's like, but it's okay, water. Like they're associating water and nurturing with death. Feed your puppy, death. It's like some weird, like in hell, this is what the devil would show you. Right. Oh, yeah, because you can't even, in hell, that's a great way to put it, where it's like in hell, you can't even identify what is good or bad. And I think that you know, like when a bear is hunting fish, they make the water as muddy as possible so the fish doesn't know up or down. and then the bear can just eat as many
Well,
fish
that's it.
as
It's
he
just
wants.
total confusion, like murder, death, it's going to kill you. Oh, look, your grandchildren so loving. Here, for radio listeners, you'll hear the audio, which is totally frightening. But then with the video, it's this juxtapose to try to trick your brain. Here it is. We don't have it? I thought I had it queued up. Well, go online and pull up a Humira ad then. We're backing it up. We'll have it in a minute. So what's up with these corporations and these people that are willing to do all this? Because I met probably 18, 19 years ago with a guy that owned a bunch of radio stations in Minnesota. He's dead now. And he was a psychiatrist. And he had been hired when he was younger to work for the government in propaganda and subliminals. But it was like, for what they were doing, then they thought it was good. And he said, listen, the stuff they're subliminally putting in Smurf cereal ads, was his example, or whatever, he said, is absolutely designed to screw up young boys. And the whole program is to destroy boys. And it's totally evil. And he was saying it's meant to make them a bunch of, cock, what, suckers. I didn't say it. I mean, he was saying all this stuff. I didn't say the whole thing, but delay it. And then I'm like, okay, yeah. And I was like, to Ted Anderson meeting with this guy. I'm like, I know this guy's this and that, but that's kind of perverted. He's talking about this. Now the American Psychological Association came out and said men existing is bad and is a mental illness. So, I looked this guy up later. He was involved probably, MK Ultra. I mean, he was a high-level government psychiatrist. He was ranting at a 2-hour lunch. He did put me on a few of his stations about, you got to cover how they want to destroy boys. Listen, Alex, I'm a liberal. I believe in freedom. And this isn't liberal. This is total war to destroy society and a plan to end the family and blah, blah, blah. This is some rich psychiatrist that had all these government weapons contracts and mind control. And he's telling me this evil plan. And now I'm here and it's happened. It's like, who comes up with this?
Well, it's not about money at that level. It's about control. And if you want control, the first thing you have to do is get rid of men. You have to because the males of a population, the males of a country are the ones that keep the monsters at bay. That's a man's job, is to provide, protect, and to teach. And so if you make the men women, or if you make the men self-hating, or if you make the men these blobs, then any enemy can come in and take control of the children, the women, the resources, the geography.
Well, that's the first thing any Attila the Hun or anybody does, is they kill the men. You're right. We have the Humira ad now. So let's go ahead and roll and get Owen Benjamin's take on this.
Joint damage.
Soy boys.
Ongoing pain and stiffness are signs of joint erosion. Humira can help stop the clock. Prescribed for 15 years, Humira targets and blocks a source of inflammation that contributes to joint pain and irreversible damage.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections. Serious and sometimes fatal infections, including tuberculosis and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Help stop the clock on further irreversible joint damage. Talk to your rheumatologist. Right here, right now.
Turn
Humira.
your immune system off and die of cancer. And I'm not even picking on Humira. It's light on the spectrum. But this is just, these ads are insane. All these happy images of moms and kids with Frisbees. Oh, it's going to kill you. And, of course, when you really go to the doctor, they don't ask if you have an infection. They don't ask what other drugs you're on.
And can I point out some wizardry in that? It's funny how when they're trying to push this stuff, they use images of strong gender roles, where you have a man with a beard and a dog in a Jeep wearing plaid, and a woman just kind of like loving the guy. And because that's what people deep down want. They want gender roles. They want a woman.
You can get mom an apple pie. Just take this and turn your immune system off.
Right, exactly. Like, women want to have children. They want grandchildren. They want to be surrounded by the home that they've made with a strong male. And so they give you these images. Well, at the same time, they're like, take these pills to make you die. And so people are manipulated by what they want out of life, and what everybody wants that. Like, women want a strong male in their life, and men want a family that they can fight for and provide for. And then, like, they'll show you these images, and then, but they subvert the entire population by then giving you poison.
And in THX 1138, that's based on the real UN plan, Huxley admitted that, and then it got made into a film by George Lucas and adapted, but they said, we're going to take what women want, children, and we're going to basically make managing the state their child, and the husband, it will be the state. And now they've done it. What's wrong? What's wrong? We have criminal drug evasion. By the way, Owen Benjamin, he says he's a comedian, but he like he said, his dad was in rhetoric, his mom children books, so he understands communication. And so we tend to always get into the attack on the family. I want to say something here that's not profound. It's basic, but that is profound. I don't mean to be contradictory. It's super ultra profound, but it's like saying we need oxygen to live. I've been told by former FDA prosecutors, don't say you'll die without vitamin C, or the FDA will shut you down. Well, you will die without vitamin C. It's like saying you'll die without air. You'll die without air in 4 minutes on average. You'll die without water in about 4 days, without food in about 30. Now these are facts. But again, they're telling you, you can't, the wizards, make any comments. You're bad selling supplements, but we can sell you all these deadly drugs on TV. So we keep going back to the attack on the family. And it's a fact that men and women are the species. There's not a separation. Men are men, women are women, but we are the species, like every other species. It's such a joke to try to turn women against men, men against women, and to then have the American Psychological Association, I want to play the Ingram clip here in a moment, come out and openly say masculinity, period, is toxic and evil and bad. Well, that's been the goal, to wage war on the boys, because the hyper evil sociopaths and psychopaths who are 98% male, you want to get into some real feminist argument. I mean, it's that, that 1/10 to 1% that is really bad news is male. You have a very low percentage of women that are super evil. They're usually just lazy. I'm not saying women are lazy. I'm saying there's that group of manipulating women, but they're not questing after power and to dominate everything. A real alpha male wants to build other alpha males and other powerful females and build an incredible future, and sits back and looks at the success that they've chain reaction. Like the Marine Corps wants to see, people after boot camp more powerful than they were. It's not like you look down at creating a new group of people more powerful. You go, I am freaking powerful. I just turned that loose. See, you understand? I'm living through you. You're living through me. And my ancestors, they believed I was going to dominate for humanity, not dominate just for me personally. And so that's the huge existential issue here, is they're openly saying it. I can't pick a newspaper up or a magazine or turn TV on like, men are the problem and masculinity is the problem. It's so out. And then we're like, you're right, we're sorry, women, be nice to us. We'll do whatever you want. Because the state, as Hitler said, first you get the women, then you've got the children, so follow the men. That's Joseph Goebbels. So here's Laura Ingraham, who they're celebrating, has been taken off the radio. We got her sponsors, and let's get her off Fox. Here's a woman saying, I'm not more wealthy if men are a bunch of wimps. That's a powerful woman. I mean, like my grandmother's. And it's not like I'm like virtue signaling to women about their powerful role, but any real women know that and understand what it is. It's just so sick to see everybody having their birthright stolen. But here it is, the American Psychological Association that runs your schools, that runs policy, that runs the UN UNESCO program, they are now admitting what's been in their textbooks for decades. We want to end men. Well, that means end everything. Here it is.
Well, James Bond's masculinity has apparently hit its expiration date. Can you believe it? Get this. The American Psychological Association is now out with new guidelines declaring that, quote, traditional masculinity is harmful. Ryan McDermott, and psychologist at the University of South Alabama, who helped draft these guidelines, asks unironically, what is gender in the 2010s?
Look at that soy boy.
It's no longer just this male-female binary. If we can change men, we can change the world. What exactly are we trying to change them to? Well, do modern women really dislike traditional masculinity? Here to help us answer all this is Emily Jasinski, senior culture editor at The Federalist, and radio talk show host Jamila Bey. All right, Emily, let's start with you. What do you think this kind of attack on what is known as traditional masculinity is all about?
Yeah, so the APA specifically names in their definition of traditional masculinity competitiveness, stoicism, all qualities that I think a lot of young women like myself and women of all ages really probably find attractive, probably find compelling. And I think it's sad that the APA lent its authority as an institution, lent its credibility as an institution to these guidelines, which are steeped in the language, really, of fourth wave feminism. There's lots of hints at intersectionality. There's talk of privilege. There's talk of all of these different buzzwords. And there's actually short on substance, and the substance that is there is attempting to mythologize things like competitive.
Let's stop there. Let me tell you what the root of this is. And I want to do 5 more minutes with us the next hour, and then Paul Watson takes over, or who is it taking over today? Roger Stone. How big are you? I mean, because you look like an NFL lineman.
I'm 6'8", 275.
Okay. Now, you've been here at the office. I'm 5'11", and I weigh, 260 pounds, but you're way bigger than me. I don't feel insecure around you, a big, giant guy. I feel good, like, oh, there's a big, powerful male, and he likes me, and I like him, and he's smart, and I feel like the species is doing well, that we've got a war machine. Now, the average little chicken net like Jeff Bezos, I know for a fact, he's a little backstabbing rat that hates everybody. And so he wants to create a system where he feels very threatened by someone who's strong, someone who speaks out, someone who takes action. And that's what this really comes down to, is they're fundamentally creating a system where they hamstring normal competitiveness. They want a monopoly. They want to end competition, which ends the species, doesn't it?
Yeah, and a lot of it is these really little guys that don't understand that we're stronger together as like when you have like guys like me and you, like I could go into your studio and see this beautiful big studio, and you have a staff, and I'm so glad I'm friends with this guy, and that's what makes nations strong, tribes strong, family strong. And then you have these other guys. The
globalists talk about tribe all day because they don't have a sense of it.
Right, exactly. Like actual alpha males or actual strong males, I see you as a friend, and I'm so glad Alex is doing well. I'm going to support him. And it's the same with me with height, where sometimes like these little rich guys will look at me and they'll be like, I hate him for his size. And I'm like, I'm too tall, dude. Like I went too big. Like I can't even fit on a roller coaster. Like dudes like me don't even live that long. It's like you go into an old folks home, you never see someone 6'7", 6'8". We're like Great Danes. We have like 7 good years, And so like I find it so hilarious that these little billionaire guys get so threatened and so angry of masculinity and anybody that's competitive, because no matter how much money they get, they still look like that. They still
and don't they get that the strength is the strength of the species? Because they call themselves collectivists. They're the opposite. We're individuals, but we then join with a collective for a better future, but not a false top-down collective. I don't know how you describe that, but a real collective.
Well, the collective they're trying to do, it's to make a forest equal. You use an axe, and so these insecure little trolls, they want to take down guys like you, guys like me. Guys that, work hard and want to provide value and protection and safety and stuff for their population so that they look strong, when in fact they're little weasels. They're like, the Jeff Bezos of the world can have a golden giant palace, and in the end of the day, it's a weasel in a golden palace, and he knows it and we know it. And so in the end of the day, that's why they want to get rid of masculinity, because they want to appear
because they
bigger
want to
than
be kings, and they were never kings.
Right, because they shouldn't be kings. And they shouldn't be, like, I'm not a king. I'm probably a strong duke, maybe. And when you know your role in the world, it makes you happy. And feminism is what's enslaving
Exactly.
women.
I'm fulfilled in my role. People don't know how fulfilling it is just to go with your genetic role.
Exactly. And like, I couldn't manage a giant studio like you have, because it isn't my genetic role. Like, my genetic role is to be by my fire and live stream from home and talk about family and do my thing. And it's like, I'm happy. Like, my mom, talk about my mom again, but like, and my mom has her PhD and she's a stay-at-home mom, to show that being a feminist doesn't mean you have to go into the salt mines and compete with dudes. Like, she understood that real power comes from the home. And
well, also, powerful women realize their sons, particularly, that it's those women that are behind their sons go out and conquer.
Yeah, and then bring home safety. Yeah, and my mom would always say the thing I should want in the world is enough. that like the happiest people in the world are the ones that can look out at their land and their family and say, this is great. And then you work on that stuff. But this Ponzi scheme, this never-ending hole in people's hearts is going to lead to some serious problems.
I agree. Do a little bit more time with us because it's so archetypal to see Nancy Pelosi and Schumer looking like animatronic. They look like demon, Chuckies. They look like little demon dolls or something. And everyone instantly saw this. Within minutes, the same stuff was being put out because this is people that literally don't know how stupid they look. CBD-rich hemp oil is totally organic, all natural, something God gave us, and it doesn't have THC in it, and it's totally legal in all 50 states. This is where everybody's going. This is what your body actually needs. There are so many different spectrums of this natural oil that comes from hemp, now legal and lawful in all 50 states, that you need to just go research it for yourself. Now, obviously, there's been a giant marijuana legalization craze that Soros has funded the last 10 years. I've not been involved in that. It's a huge bubble. This is not marijuana. There are hundreds of varieties of hemp. This is industrial hemp that has all the good attributes, but not the bad attributes that turn people into potheads in their basements, picking and eating their boogers. This is the good CBD from the organic hemp oil. And there are so many great products that you simply need to go to InfoWarsStore.com and link over to WashingtonsReserve.com, or simply go to WashingtonsReserve.com yourself to look at all the products, to read about the history, and to see the facts for yourself. It's a 360 win. There are different CBD rich hemp oil extractions for many, many, many different uses. You owe it to yourself to go look at this for yourself and to also understand it helps fund the InfoWar. People wonder why I haven't gotten into CBD oil. Well, because some of the stuff's got problems, some of it can get you high, and some of it can get you arrested. This is not that. Legal in all 50 states. It's from hemp, not marijuana. It's totally legal. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we can ship to all 50 states right now from the great website, WashingtonsReserve.com.